Thanks very much. Well, my name is Tobias Mews, and I call myself an adventure sports journalist. It's a title I've completely fabricated because I couldn't find a career that essentially described what I wanted to do. This doesn't exist in a UCAS form. You can't ask your careers advisor, I want to become an adventure sports journalist. It doesn't exist. In fact, if you Google adventure sports journalist, I'm pretty much the only person in the world who is one, who in a sense calls himself one. I'm also a runner. And that is why I'm here today, because running is at the foundation of my life, both my personal life and my career. And it has provided me with untold happiness. However, 2 weeks ago, I wasn't very happy. I was doing something called the Bob Graham Round. And for runners, the Bob Graham Round is it. It is what you aspire to do. It is arguably the toughest challenge in the UK, but there are no prizes, there is no money to enter, the only entry form is a sort of random email you send to say that I'm going to give it a go. The premise is that you have to run essentially from here, you go to this place called Moot Hall, you touch it, and then you leave, and you've got 24 hours to make your way from here along the 42 highest peaks and get back there within that period. If you're not within 24 hours, you can't join the Bob Graham Club. It's pretty hard, 66 miles. Actually, 66 miles in 24 hours isn't that difficult. However, the still 27,000 feet thing doesn't help. That's like the height of Everest. And the fact that essentially I liken it to prepare for this, you think Rocky. You know how he basically was encouraged to run with chickens and do that stuff to chase around? Okay, do that, but do it on top of Scafell Pike. It's like very bouldery. You need to have kind of titanium ankles and knees, and essentially I was not prepared for this at all. A few hours, well, 1 hour into it, you can't even see it because essentially it's raining so hard that we barely can see anything. It's 1 a.m. now, 2 a.m. actually. We started at 1 a.m. and I was already exhausted, basically. It wasn't a good sign. And we still had another 23 hours plus to go. 13 hours into it, I was beginning to start doing selfies. That's pretty much the only one I did. I couldn't even bother to take my camera out of my bag. I was just too exhausted because there is no time to rest. And then about 16 hours into it, where we should have been about 13 hours into it, or 13, 14 hours of it, my mate Adam, who I was with, we both decided that to call it a day. Essentially, enough is enough. Now, this is the thing where you had to go and dance with chickens. This is what essentially the terrain is like. It is horrendous. There's nothing flat about it. It's bogs, and you're self-navigating, and you've got to carry your kit if you do it really hardcore way, which is we were trying to do. Most people spend a year trying to do this. It's not easy. And 1 in 3 people fail. And when I set off to do this with basically very little training, no prior reconnaissance of the route, which is essential, I didn't actually expect to finish. I hoped I would, and I figured, well, I might as well give it a go on the off chance that I might just get round in 24 hours. It'd be really annoying to do it and then not have officially said I'm going to do it. However, one thing I advise you all not to do, if you ever do this, is do not publicly say that you're going to do it and then have a live tracker where people can follow you, including your mother, your fiancé, and everybody else in the world that you've told, essentially, on your social media networks. Not a good idea. So when they see you, and the Northerners up there going, those bloody Southerners, giving our thing a go, what do they think they're doing? And then they see this dot stopping. That's when we were having a sandwich discussing the merits of this. I was going to play you a video, but unfortunately I can't get the sound to right. So the thing that I get asked the most is why? Why would I do this? Why would I do the Bob Graham Run? Why would I do anything like this? It doesn't make sense. My mother constantly says to me, when are you going to stop? Tobias, why? You could have been anything. And I answer the why not thing. It's very obvious. Now, I'm going to talk to you about basically 3 or 4 things now very quickly. And hopefully they will basically resonate with some of them. Firstly, I want to know, who of you run?
We all do.
You all run. Anyone not run, very importantly? Okay, like 3. You walk. That's the walking thing. 4. So, okay, who of you call yourselves runners? Who can say, I'm a runner? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can say that with confidence. So if you were to pick your skill set, your gladiatorial thing, and you would go, yeah, I'm going to go and compete to a running contest as opposed to a needlepoint contest. Running would be the thing. So me too. So running has given me something called confidence. And it's come in all sorts of guises. Essentially, I have now done hundreds, well not quite, but almost 150 races, a lot. And these are just a few of the bits and bobs I've done. I've got medals everywhere. I love medals, and I have a lot of t-shirts. I don't know what to do with them, but I keep them, and occasionally I use them as bike racks. I've gone on to do all sorts of fun events, things that I never thought I would do. This is the Marathon des Sables. It's really famous, but actually it's not even that difficult. It calls itself the toughest race in the world. It's really hard. Jonathan's done it twice, so have I. But it is not the only thing out there. There are other things out there. There are jungle marathons, which is where Jonathan and I met. There is the UTMB, which is this hard as nails 100-mile race around the Tour of Mont Blanc. And then even there's things like the Norseman, which is throwing that running into the whole cycling and swimming occasion. And that involves running to the marathon up to the top of a 2,000-meter high radio NATO mast thing with an unpronounceable name in Norwegian. I got to the top part of this. 16 hours it took me. I didn't even turn around to look at the view. I was like, right, where's the train home? There's a direct train that goes straight into the ground, and that's where you have to go. I even then thought, right, running, okay, let's see how I can do it with mountain biking, and I started mountain biking. And all these events I started doing, they gave me confidence, because before I did any, I got a mountain bike 6 weeks before this event. It's called the Cape Epic. It's like the hardest mountain bike stage race in the world. South Africa, 800 kilometers, 8 days. It's ridiculously hard. And I didn't know how to mountain bike, but I did it with this guy who did know how to mountain bike, and we got through, and we had a wonderful, wonderful time. It was one of the best experiences of my life. So running has also provided me with love. Love. So, love. Oh, I know. So this beautiful lady here is sitting in the audience over there. Her name is Zane. And it is through running that I found love. And since finding love with this young lady, we have been doing marathons in the Medoc region. We have been doing we did the London Marathon together this year. We did the Three Peaks race earlier on this year as well. And we had a dirty weekend together, which I then wrote about in here. And the ultimate dirty weekend is such an easy article to write. And we did wife carrying before she's about to become my wife. That was a practice run. I enjoyed the moment when they poured water over us. That was great. So we're now in 2013. We were the sixth in the championship for the UK wife carrying. We did marathons in Snowdon. We did the Comrades Marathon earlier this year. And running has provided us with love. And it's given us a common goal. It's also given me purpose. By that I mean, it's given me a career. I get to run against steam trains. I get to race against cars. I get to see my beautiful girl arse on the front of the metro, which is rather wonderful. And it diverts you from the rather distressing thing that drove me to Kinnock. I hope nobody saw that and they just looked at that. I don't know. And I get to go and jump over fire. How cool is that? That is cool, isn't it? So it's quite nice having these little things of yourself, but it's basically given me a career, and it gives me something to write about. This is how I make a living, isn't this amazing? So and then I do jungle marathons. I went to New Zealand earlier on this year, and I did a ridiculously long 130-hour adventure race. The whole thing is brilliant. And then I have to relive it afterwards when I come to write about it, which sometimes gives me the odd moments of sort of PTSD, but it's okay. And then I make friends as well. This is last year's MDS, and these guys I became really, really good friends with. They're the guys I lived with in the tent. But basically, running is really about finding my limits. It's about finding out how good I am. I have now become mentally and physically much stronger than I ever thought I would be. And my resilience towards pain has gone through the roof now, which is weird. And I'm constantly searching for what's the next thing? What will be really, really difficult to do? And maybe that Bob Graham round was kind of finding my limit, because it was quite hard. I mean, in fact, in a couple of weeks' time, in fact, next week on Friday, Zane and I are leaving to do our next little challenge. A week before our wedding. What madness is this, I say to you? A week before, we are going to do this thing called the O to Low. It's a swim run across the Swedish archipelago. So, running 65k ain't difficult enough. We thought we'd chuck in 26 islands and a 10-kilometer swim. You kind of basically run across these rocky things, and then you swim to the other side in your trainers, and then you run in your wetsuit across the island to the other side, and you keep doing this 26 times until eventually you finish. One day, and you have to stay together no more than 10 meters apart. That is a challenge for a relationship. And the water is about 10 degrees. So, that rule of never let your lady get cold or wet or miserable or tired, that's all going to happen But it will be good for us because that is what it's all about. And it goes back to that finding love, finding purpose, and finding your limits. And essentially, when that moment came to kind of go, oh, that's it, we're going to finish now, I wasn't upset. The reason why we called it a day was for several reasons. One, because it was a safety reason. We were supported by one individual, his dad, who was beginning to get petrified every time we arrived a tiny bit late for our kind of check-in point. Second reason, I thought, there might be a few other people watching this live tracker thinking, what the hell is going on? And the third reason, we wanted to come back and do it on another day. And we weren't distressed, we put our feet up, we relaxed, and we basically said to ourselves, that was an awesome day out, because essentially the whole point of adventure is that it's unknown. You don't know how it's going to finish. And we ran our hearts out, and we didn't run fast enough, that was the main thing. But we had a brilliant time, and we basically said to each other as we were strolling back to kind of ceremoniously kind of pretend that we'd gone to Moot Hall afterwards. But we said that is one of the best things ever. And the point is, I found a limit doing that. And now I'm going to go and find another way to tackle it. And I'm going to come back next year and do it again. And I don't mind. I'm looking forward to it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of my little running moment.